Alright, so this video is going to be dedicated to the things that I want to see in Mortal Kombat 12. And the reason I'm saying Mortal Kombat 12 is because at this point I think Mortal Kombat 11 is done. Just judging by the amount of communication that has been, or the lack of communication that has been on Twitter, I don't think that there's going to be anything that comes to this game of significance. Adding more characters in is not going to solve the issues that we have with this game. Although it will be nice to see some of the fan favorites come back, it's not going to solve the issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a list of things that I want to see in Mortal Kombat 12 that I was hoping for Mortal Kombat 11 to have, which it unfortunately didn't get updated with. And we'll start with the single player stuff, then we'll work our way through the games, the changes, the characters and all that stuff. The stuff that I want to see coming back, the stuff that I want fixed, and the stuff that I just want completely removed. So we'll start at the top. I want story mode to be more like the Deception and Armageddon story modes, and what I mean by that is in Deception and Armageddon there was a lot of free roaming. You could go to Earthrealm, you could go to Netherrealm, Outworld, Chaos Dimension, basically anything that you wanted to. I think there was an Order Realm as well, and that was all in Armageddon. In Deception you had some really cool exploration in there. As a matter of fact, Deception's one was closer to what I would want a Mortal Kombat game to be like. The current story mode is good. I really like the Hollywood level of detail that goes into them, but it's just fight to fight. So really you're just going in there to watch cutscenes. A lot of people end up watching Mortal Kombat on YouTube. Like all of my friends, they don't play it, they just watch it on YouTube because they're not fans of the actual gameplay. They just want to see the cutscenes because props where props are due, NRS do make awesome story modes. Now to get people to play it a bit more, I think if they return to the formula of Deception and Armageddon where it's more open world, you can do more exploration, there was things to unlock in the open world and places to see, because the Mortal Kombat lore is very big and expansive. I think it would be awesome. Secondly, I would overhaul the Towers of Time. To me it's just boring. Towers of Time is so boring. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't like it one single bit. Maybe if it had a story mode more like the 3D games, they could add the exploration points in there and they could update the game that way. So what I mean by that is in RPGs you go around, you find stuff, sometimes they update the games with new areas or whatnot. They could do that. Maybe they could update, I don't know, Edenia could be updated so that maybe there's an attack and you have to go there and defend it. Something that is exciting. The Towers of Time is so boring. Every time I see them say they're adding a new tower, I'm like, okay great, no one's gonna play this crap. Or maybe people are playing it, maybe it's just me, but I feel like they're just so unimaginative and just so boring. Like there's just nothing to them. It's a massive letdown for me. It'll be really cool if they had an open world story mode for Mortal Kombat where you could explore the lore of Mortal Kombat and then they updated it with new little challenges. They don't have to be big challenges, they don't have to be expansive, but little things here and there, because these Towers of Time updates are free, which is good. It would be great if the free update came in something that wasn't so boring. Maybe like some cool side missions, some quirky side missions. Take a page out of the Yakuza book where they have random side missions that have nothing to do with the story mode and are really like comedic and whatnot. I think it could be great, but maybe that's just me. The crypt just keeps getting bigger and better, and I really like where they're going with the crypt, but I think if they had an open world story mode, they could incorporate the crypt and make it an area in the actual story mode for you to explore. Now in its current form I don't have any issues with it. There is no open world story mode like there is in Deception and Armageddon, so I understand why it is the way it is, but it is actually still really good. I really like the way crypt looks in MK11. I feel like if they were gonna make a story driven game with an open world, it might have that sort of look. The crypt is great. If they made an open world story mode and they implemented it in there, it would be even better in my opinion. I'd also like to see the return for some sort of minigame, or maybe not even a returning one, maybe a new one. Those minigames from the 3D era Mortal Kombat were great. You had the racing minigame, you had chess combat, you had puzzle combat. They were awesome. I loved them. I thought they were so good. Such an original idea. You know, it takes away from the seriousness of the Mortal Kombat world. I thought it was great. It was really good. I'd love to see those come back. I'm really disappointed that there's been no mention of them at all and no plans for them to come back. And at this point I'm not too interested in Mortal Kombat 11. Even if they did bring them back, I feel like this game has just done, the damage has been done with this game in my opinion. So if they do an MK12, I'd love to see the minigames make a return. Now moving on to the online section, in my opinion it needs some work. First and foremost, before I get into anything, they need to add a goddamn Wi-Fi filter. For the life of me I can't understand why this request has been denied and completely overlooked since the dawn of this game's inception really. I don't think they're going to add it into MK11. If they do MK12, I think a Wi-Fi filter is essential. This game runs really well when you've got two people on Ethernet, but as soon as it's not wired, as soon as it is Wi-Fi, you can just feel it. It feels horrible. So please, like, I can't understand why this has not been implemented yet. It is so weird to me that they keep on overlooking this. Now the online mode has a King of the Hill. It has private rooms, it has casual rooms, but it has no tournament mode. And I know this isn't a massive deal, but tournament modes are always fun. Like an actual tournament tournament mode, I think that would be great. They're always good fun. So it's not a massive deal, it's just something that I like seeing in my fighting games. I really liked it when Street Fighter 4 had it. I like it that Smash Bros has it. So I think that would be great. I'd also like to see a clan creator. In some fighting games they have a clan creator like in Street Fighter 5, and I thought it'd be a nice implementation, especially because clans are such a big deal in the Mortal Kombat lore. So I'd want to see it personally. Again, it's not a huge thing, it's just a little thing that I'd want to see. Now ranked mode is a bit crap to me in MK11 if I'm going to be honest. Now let me explain why. Every season your rank resets and you have to make your way through Kombat League again and again, and you're basically starting from square one. And this would be okay if it wasn't the case where when Kombat League is over, ranked mode is basically a barren wasteland. You're just playing games. Now to me, ranked has a purpose. When you're playing ranked mode, everything has a purpose, right? You're going in there to win points, to get your wins up, to make sure you're not losing, to have the best ratio. But when Kombat League is not there, it just seems pointless. There's nothing there. You're just fighting people with no purpose. It's really no different from playing casual mode. If you're gonna have a league that goes down from time to time, at the very least, have a second ranked mode that means something. Ranked mode in Mortal Kombat has never been great. It's never had things that I wanted to have. Like in Street Fighter 4, they had a championship mode. I thought championship mode was awesome. This just has nothing. People like me like having purpose, and I assume most people that are playing ranked are going in there with the purpose to be at the top of the leaderboard. And whilst they do have a leaderboard in MK11, it just sucks. Like the whole thing is just boring. So if they implemented something else on top of that, maybe just a system that made you feel like your wins were being rewarded in some way, shape or form, with better ratio stats and a win-loss record that actually means something. The point system in NK doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't think it's ever been explained properly, but I don't know. When Kombat League's not there, it's not great. Kombat League itself, you keep on resetting people's points. I kind of understood it in the beginning. At the very beginning it made sense and I was like, okay, this isn't bad, but we're a year and 5 months into the game and I'm bored of it. I find it so boring. I don't like my things being reset. I would like it if they continue to add titles the way they do in Street Fighter or Tekken. They keep on adding stuff until you get to the pinnacle and then you fight to defend the very top of the leaderboard. I don't know. Just right now, I don't like the way Kombat League is constructed. I think it was a cool idea. It's kind of fizzled out though. Some ideas don't stick around. They don't have staying power and I think this is one of them. The customization in MK11 is dribble. For MK12, they need to go the Injustice 2 route and actually do something worthwhile. You have loads of options in MK11, but none of them are great. Some of them look exactly the same as something you've just unlocked. Some of them are just different colors or have a tiny variation. Now, I've dabbled in the customization of MK11 for a little bit, and for the most part it is just throwaway stuff, and I can't understand why they went backwards. Injustice 2 was so good in terms of what they gave you for customization, and I don't know what happened with MK11. It seems lazy. It seems like I don't know what they were doing, and I don't know what they were thinking when they put this together, but it seems so lazy. Also, the abundance of skins in this game are just color swaps. They're color palettes and it's not cool. The costumes in MK11 are not great. Now there's been times like Sub-Zero Shredder costume where they've implemented a costume that is really cool, but for the most part it can just be way better. It seems boring, it seems uninspired, and I don't like it, and I don't think most people like it. Another big one is characters people actually ask for. There's so many characters that get put into fighting games and everyone's just sitting there like, why? Who asked for this character? MK isn't the only offender of this. Street Fighter has done it, Tekken has done it, Dead or Alive has done it. Basically every fighting game has ever done it. But I feel like the devs should probably listen to their fans a little bit more. There's no Rain, Smoke, Reptile, Melina, Havoc, but we have Jackie and Cassie. Like that is just so annoying. Stop that shit. I'm not saying don't take risks with the new characters, but you've been in the development game for long enough to know what really gets people excited. You know that Jackie and Cassie are not going to get anyone excited. At the very least by now. Maybe when you were introducing them in MKX, fine, they were brand new characters. The response wasn't great back then from what I could see. And Stevie Wonder could have told you at first glance why people wouldn't be hyped for these characters in MK11, especially when characters like Rain, Smoke, Reptile, Melina and Havoc are not in this game. On the topic of characters, there needs to be less emphasis on guest characters and more Mortal Kombat characters being added into their own roster. Now don't get me wrong, I like guest characters as much as the next guy, but I only really appreciate them when I think the roster is good enough at its core, and I don't think MK11 is. MK11 has a decent roster, you know, it's got Shao Kahn playable, that's a big deal, even though he's not as good as I think he should be. Shang Tsung's playable in the same game. It's a good roster, it's not bad, but there are just too many fan favorites missing for me to care about guest characters right now. Again, on the topic of characters, one full complete moveset. No more of this variation stuff. Variations were cool in MKX, but in MK11 it just feels tired and drawn out. They haven't been handled in this game with the same level of care as MKX, and they definitely haven't been leveled with the same level of care and finesse as the 3D games, where you could switch between 2 to 3 styles mid-game. You could literally switch fighting styles mid-game. If you're going to do variations like that, I'm all for it, but the way they are right now is boring. The 3D ones were brilliant, and I thought they could have gotten better and better, but alas, here we are, where some variations are completely useless and others are just way too powerful. If you're not going to implement a system where you can switch them in-game, and you're not going to make them so that they're strong across the board or they're fair across the board, just get rid of them. I'd rather one complete moveset where I don't have to think, oh, I want this move, but this move blocks out this move. It's just annoying. It's irritating and annoying. Some characters in this game have so many special moves to cover every situation, and then other characters don't. And you're like, well, why does this take up 2 slots? The customization for variations in this game sucks. It's rubbish. It needs an overhaul, or it needs to get out. That's my opinion anyway. In terms of the combat, actually have some sort of sense when you're designing the characters. Have things actually make sense when someone's fighting. If a special move grants you high damage, make it punishable. If a string grants you a launcher, make it punishable. It's simple things like that that go a long way and stop frustrating players. There's nothing more frustrating than watching 16-bit and Tyler Lanston and whoever else sitting at that combat cast, or whatever it's called, explaining a move to you and then explaining the 10 ways the move is powerful and can't be punished. And you're sitting there like, well, where's the flaw? And 16-bit just has this smug look on their face, and you're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You are making a competitive fighting game and you are just pissing all over it. It makes no sense to me. If you have a move that grants high damage or grants a launcher or does anything where the aggressor benefits on hit, then surely when it's blocked it should be punishable. It is literally like they are pissing on the fan base. I do not understand it. On the topic of combat, lay off the gimmicks. There are too many gimmicky things in Mortal Kombat, and at first glance people are like, oh, that looks sick, and yeah, it might look cool, but in the long run it makes people hate your games. It always happens. It always happens. It always comes across as hyper annoying in the long run, and it's a complete turn off. Firstly, if you're going to add in a mechanic, make it fair across the roster. Flawless block and crushing blows are unfair. Flawless block is great for Cabal because he doesn't have to worry about it. It's a disaster for someone like Scarlet because she always has to worry about it. So what's the trade-off? What's the reason that Cabal doesn't have to worry and Scarlet does have to worry? No reason at all. Cabal has no flawless blockable strings and Scarlet has tons. For whatever reason, I will never understand. And for whatever reason it hasn't been addressed, I will never understand. The game's been out for a year and 5 months. You'd think they'd be doing something. The only reason I can imagine they are not doing anything is because NRS is in financial trouble. Other than that, I don't understand. Now, crushing blows greatly benefit some characters. They really benefit some characters, and other characters, they don't benefit at all. Some are stuck behind variations that you don't want to play, and some are just negligible at best. And then you have variations where characters like Geras are just destroying you with crushing blows back to back. It's not a fair system. It's been implemented poorly. It's another gimmick that looks good on day one. It doesn't need to be there, and it doesn't add anything to the competitive side of Mortal Kombat. Get rid of all the guessing games in throws. Throws are one of the biggest jokes in all of MK. Not only do they do pretty good damage, but some of them put you in a really bad wake up situation, and others have 1 or 2 crushing blows. It just doesn't end. They have so many applications, but guess what? You have to guess each time. If it wasn't bad enough, you're made to guess each time. There's no visual indication like in Tekken, and it's not a 1-button tech like Street Fighter, so you are literally guessing. That's terrible for a competitive fighting game. Even Smash Brothers doesn't do that, and that's meant to be the party game. This isn't just one character making you guess. It's universally like that. Rubbish. That is a crappy system. If you're going to make it 2 separate tech buttons, have a visual indicator so I can at least react and not always guess. There is no skill involved in that. On to fireballs, my favorite topic. I'll beat this horse until it's long gone, but in MK12 fireballs need to clash. Fireballs passing through each other is hot garbage, and it makes no sense in any universe. MK completely lacks a zoning department. It always has throughout every single game. There's no room for a fireball wall in MK11, because if you get into a fireball wall, you better hope you have the stronger or the faster fireball, because guess what? Whoever has that is going to win every single time, because fireballs don't clash. It just defies basic logic. A whole area of battle that exists in every other fighting game just ceases to exist in MK. For those of you that are like, well, how do we do with stuff like Geras' stand trap because it appears below you? Firstly, to dumb moves like that, don't make them a goddamn low. Why would you make them a low? Do you not understand how annoying that shit is? That isn't even the case of, oh, holo, get good. That's straight up tipping the unfair balance in Geras' favour. Now I have to plink dash halfway across the screen, taking chip damage just to get near this guy on my hands and knees, and if I goof once, if I make one mistake, I get hit for decent damage, and then he gets to wake up right next to me. I have to wake up guessing game again. Seems fair, doesn't it? Seems like a good idea for a competitive fighting game. Definitely doesn't seem like something that is completely brain dead and people can abuse with little to next to no consequence. Make that shit a mid at the very least. And secondly, just because fireballs like Geras' sand trap exist doesn't mean all other fireballs just get a pass. Make fireballs clash. It literally makes no sense. Now this is a personal one. Enough with the 2D. The third Injustice game will most likely be 2D. That will be 6 2D games since NRS came back from being midway in 2011. Let's try our hand at the 3D space again. Maybe I'm being biased here because the 3D Mortal Kombats are my favorites, but I think it would be cool to do the whole 2 to 3 fighting styles in a match and just having them in a 3D space again. The cool stage transitions, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I am tired of the NRS games in their current state. I don't think they can try their hand at another 3D game and expect the sales to be good, or maybe I'm wrong on that. I just think that it's done and dusted at this point. And lastly, this isn't so much about the game as it is about the team at NRS. Communication with your scene is dog shit. The communication needs to be way better. I don't ever say anything on Twitter because I honestly can't be bothered, but there are people a lot more passionate than me about Mortal Kombat that I'm just seeing get no response to basic questions. The trolling is funny to begin with from Ed Boon, but it's not funny anymore, and at the very least, I'm just sitting here like, dude, just say something. Just say something to your scene, but they don't do anything. So the communication aspect from NRS in the next title needs to be better. It just needs to be better. The reason people complain so much at you guys is because you do frustrating things. Just look at Street Fighter or Tekken or Virtual Fighter or something else if you're trying to figure out how to make a competitive fighting game, and then people wouldn't complain so much. Now to me, MK11 is pretty much done at this point. I don't think there's going to be any changes that come in to really save the game from the mess that it has become. It is what it is, but to say that it isn't disappointing would be an understatement. Yeah, MK11 has done some things right. It does look very nice. It's just done a lot wrong. There's so much wrong with this game. It is so frustrating. It's so annoying. The only reason I would ever stream it is because it's just funny at this point. It's funny to laugh at the game, and I think people do like watching it and getting a laugh out of it. Honestly, I enjoy getting a laugh out of it at this point. I watch it and I laugh. So these are the things I would like to see in MK12. These are the things that I would hope that they implement in MK12. Let me know what you guys want to see in the next Mortal Kombat game. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time. Peace.